and it's never where I started out. And to be honest, it's not something that I thought that's what I want to do. I want to do decorating. As with most people, it kind of came roughly around the time of COVID, where I kind of took a little bit of a reassessment of what I was doing with my life. So before, up until that point, I'd always worked car rental, whether it had been management in branches, call centres, and that's where I was. And much like running your own business, it was long hours, long days. And when my first little one came along, I got to a point where I thought, I'm doing 80-hour weeks here, and it's just not the right time for it anymore. Fine when you're a young single lad and there's nothing else to do and you just want to make money, but it just got a bit too much. So I'd moved over to a working from home kind of desk job, still within that same sector. And then there were particular things that happened which had started to affect my mental health. And I was off on on a period of long-term sick for it. And yeah, I kind of reassessed at that point, like what do I actually want to do, and talking with my wife, and it's that I think when you're younger, you can kind of take that risk a bit more. You've got less outgoings, you've got kind of less responsibilities where you need to make sure you've got the income. But obviously, as the years go on, you've got bills, you've got kids, you've got a partner. Like you need to make sure the income's coming in. So I think kind of moving field completely is a big risk. But yeah, my wife had said, look, obviously you're not happy. Why don't
Yeah.
you go back to college and study something at college and like just completely change your direction? Which I mean, I love the idea of. And to be honest, where my head at first went is I've always loved making music. I've done a lot of work with a friend, and we still do it now and then. It's more as a vanity project than anything else. I thought, actually, yeah, I could go back and study music production, like the recording studio side of things. But again, it gets into your head like, is there actually
Yeah.
anything long term that you can do with that outside of you've studied it and you know what you're doing, other than obviously opening your own studio? And that's not exactly going to be particularly lucrative, particularly easy, especially when so many people do it at home. So yeah, I started dwelling on it a lot, and then I found, because I was off
Yeah.
on long-term sick, it was the perfect time to kind of do bits and pieces around the house that I've been putting off. And I actually found, funnily enough, while I was decorating, kind of me mind switched off a bit, and I actually found that it helped me mental health because you're concentrating on what you're doing, especially
Yeah.
when like you're cutting in and stuff. Put some headphones on, and you get lost in that world. And I thought, yeah, maybe that's the way to go.
Yeah. That's interesting. I spoke to Neil Hopper yesterday, actually. So we'll sort of be putting these scheduling like these episodes out, and he was very much the same. When he got into it, it was just like suddenly his mind quietened, and he felt a lot better. What's really interesting is, so you don't have to give away your age. Obviously, you're very young, but what sort of age would you have been around COVID, and
Well, funnily
for you to
enough,
take
I know
a change
exactly
in
because
career?
I turned 40 during COVID. So what is normally a big birthday celebration wasn't so much for me. And it's funny
Right.
actually because my wife turns 40 this year, and her plans are a lot more extravagant and interesting than mine were ever able to be. Let's put it that way. So yeah, like you say, at 40, it's different.
Funny enough, my
It's an interesting time to make that type of move and make that type of decision.
yeah, I was just going to say my wife was Lisa was 40 around COVID time, and she was so upset because she wanted a big party, and we ended up like just us guys having a drink at home, and then our friends and family
Yeah,
were like standing outside our front garden, so it was
it's crazy.
at a distance. Madness when you look back. So before you started doing bits around the house around COVID
Yeah,
time,
I
and
mean, like
had you
bits
had
and
any
pieces,
experience at all?
like
Because
helping family out. My mother had a hair and beauty salon, which she took over from the previous one, and they did a massive renovation there. Again, at the time I was doing that, it was while I was in between jobs. I mean, I'm going back quite a fair few years now, but obviously that had been a lot of construction work, to set up beauty rooms, decorating and stuff in there. And like I say, even then, it's not something where I thought, yeah, this is what I want to do. Because yeah, I was doing it and I didn't mind doing it, but I didn't think like feel any type of kind
Mm.
of passion or anything from it. I think that's just something that's kind of developed later.
No, I think what's interesting is, and that's why I love speaking to people on here because, there might be someone listening where they're just like, oh, do you know what? I'm really fed up. And like you say, when you've got responsibilities and children and stuff, it can be difficult to change. But it's shown you can do it. And you said
Yeah, yeah.
did you say you
I'd,
went
I'd,
to college?
I'd
Do you
managed
manage
to
to
find
find a
a college
college
course, and
course
again,
to
obviously, it was
do?
studying during COVID. There was a few bits during the lockdowns where they kind of transitioned from being in the college to online. But I think the benefit I had while I was doing that, because I was studying, I was also working part time for a charity housing company, who've got various properties throughout the northeast, and basically end of tenancy work, they'll get their team in to clear the place out, freshen it up, and then get it ready for the next person. So I was doing a lot of that kind of alongside. So when it came to the online study, a lot of it was done on like, your digital platforms. So it was great because I could just stick my headphones on and work away, still kind of keeping my hand in doing the decorating and
Mm.
stuff while while studying as well. So yeah, it was really, really interesting time, and I think it gave me, because where I knew I had gaps in my knowledge. Yeah, obviously, kind of skills skills were there, but product knowledge, material knowledge, kind of wallpapering was one area where I thought I didn't have a clue where to start. That's, to be honest, that's the main reason I wanted to go to college to study it first, because I thought, yes, I can do it, but would I be comfortable providing my knowledge and my skills to a customer on a paid basis? Which obviously at that point, no, there's no chance. So yeah, it definitely helped out. Obviously, coming out of college, I knew there were gaps in my knowledge again. So I think that's where the beauty of a lot of these different training centres that do kind of that specialised training in the likes of spraying and your micro cements and stuff like that. I think that's where stuff like that's handy to kind of push that knowledge base even further.
Yeah, 100%. So what I find really fascinating, I didn't know this about you coming into it late, because I see your work now and it's absolutely incredible. The properties you've been working on, the spraying you do. What's that
So
lovely
the
property you've been
major one
working
over the
on?
last year, it's
What's it
Solberg
called?
Hall in
It's
Northallerton. And I know you say obviously it looks amazing, and thank you.
yeah.
Obviously, I appreciate the comments, but it's another one of those. Like, how many times do you look on Facebook and you see these properties posted, and it's just amazing decoration, amazing color schemes. And I remember when I was seeing the sign, I'm thinking, I'm never going to be able to get onto doing something like that. Realistically, all it's down to is skill and opportunity. If and personally, I think if you can manage your skill and make sure that
Yeah.
you've got the ability to kind of provide those type of finishes. The opportunity, yes, you can control it to an extent, but you see, you can go out and grab every opportunity, but at least if you've got the skill, when that opportunity comes along, you can kind of prove yourself, and that's exactly how it happened with Solberg. Funnily enough, it was a post. I can't remember which Facebook group it was on, but it was just a post on a Facebook group, and it was the week of Trade Decorator Live, which I was supposed to be going down to, and I think this was on a Monday morning.
Mm.
I had a job that I had 2 days left on, or a day, and then I was going to be going down to Bolton, and there was this post. It was any decorators in Northallerton were absolutely desperate. Um, so that's like, look, I'm not in Northallerton, but it's only an hour away. It's nothing really. So I can go and take a look and see. And anyway, what it was they'd been let down by a previous decorator, and they had a few bits and pieces they had to get finished for an event that was happening that weekend.
Mm.
I thought, right, well, you know what? For the sakes of missing out on a live show and catching up with a few familiar faces one year, like why not just go and do it? And obviously, it's all kind of gone from there. Once that work was
Yeah.
finished, it's like, right, okay, once this event's done, we've got X, Y, and Z spaces that need doing. And then it moved from there, once that work was finished, to can you do the staircase for us? Which was a bigger challenge than anything I'd ever undertaken. And I
Mm.
knew I couldn't do it by myself in the time period, which is where obviously John came in from H2H as well, subcontracted in to help for kind of half the time there. And then yeah, it's obviously just snowballed from there really to being from a few small spaces to a grand staircase to every other corridor and bedroom in the place.
I think what it shows is, in that short space of time, you've looked at it, you've seen what areas you need to work on, what you need to specialize in. And I know you're, like I say, a fantastic sprayer. Um, so it just shows you, there could be perhaps decorators listening that have been painting for 20 years and, would look at that project and think, oh, I can't take it on because I don't have certain skills. But you can learn
Yeah.
it. It just shows you can learn it relatively quickly.
Yeah, oh,
And like
exactly,
you
exactly.
say, it's just going for it, isn't it?
And I think,
Um, because,
oh God, there's,
without
I think
spraying,
that
that would have
for
been a
some of the
difficult
stuff
job to
we've
do,
done,
wouldn't it?
there is no way we'd be able to complete within the time frame that we're given. It would just be, it'd be an impossibility because the place has been
No.
neglected so much under its kind of former ownership that there's so much prep work involved. I mean, we've got it down to a time frame now where if it was one person doing it, a bedroom takes about a week and a half. And we know that that's exactly what it'll take beginning to end. Um, but that's only because we're able to spray the ceilings, spray the
Yeah.
woodwork. And the beauty is generally it's not just we're working on one bedroom at a time, we're working on two or three so that we're able to jump about during drying times. I mean, this current stint,
Yeah.
which was from like November through until February, it started off as being two bedrooms and a long stretch of corridor. I mean, a really long stretch, which I would have hated to have painted by hand. Um, but it's gone from that to then, oh, can you
Yeah.
also paint this laundry room while you're here?
Yeah.
John's been doing construction work to turn one of the bedrooms into a big grand groom suite because obviously every wedding venue has a bridal suite and the groom tends to get neglected. So obviously there's a lot of work gone into that. And then now we've got a load more building work starting. There's issues in a few, so it does spread out. And if we weren't spraying and we didn't know our time frames, we could quite easily have been tripped over by it all.
In terms of like a typical bedroom, week and a half, one person, if that was done by brush and roller, how many
I
more days
reckon.
would you
I mean, I
anticipate it would
know for a
take?
fact. Let's think. The
Roughly.
Windows 2 hours per core, 246. And then this is the thing. I've got all the timings locked down in my head for timing. So you're talking six because the windows are big sash windows with obviously the old shutters and everything. So you're talking 6 hours per window just for the painting. You're talking a door, talking an hour and a half. So you're talking an extra day just for hand painting those would work around the rest of them. You're probably talking, I reckon you'd probably add an extra maybe 3 days on, but then all of a sudden you've gone from a week and a half to it's taking you 2 weeks. And the
Yeah.
beauty is, I know we say a week and a half, that's because we know how much prep is going to be needed. And the fact that it takes us less time to paint means we can really spend the time focusing on the prep work. So yeah.
But what the beauty is as well, if you have those skills, like it's not pricing it because you're so skillful, it's pricing it where actually if it was done by a brush and roller, here's how much it would be per
Oh
room,
God,
but
yeah.
you're obviously
And
shaving
the way
off
the
a
price
few
is
days and
submitted,
making
it's
more
basically, I
money.
mean, I
So
when I first started out, I very quickly learned, and I tripped myself over on one of the jobs where I priced because I got and looked around. I was like, okay, these are the spaces. It's going to take X amount of time, and that was the price I submitted. And then it took 3 days longer than that because obviously the stuff came, and I thought, right, I need to do something about this. So what I managed to do, and again, this is because I was working for that charity housing company as well. I was able to go into properties, and I took like a total of 5 properties, and I actually timed exactly how long it took me to do your typical job. So you're prepping your walls and ceiling. This is how long it takes. Painting the ceiling. This is how long. Painting your woodwork. This is how long. So that then gave me a snapshot of across 5 different jobs, what's the average. And then I've been able to put that into a spreadsheet that I made up. And now it kind of it's got a system in place that I know I'm never going to get tripped up. And when I put a price in, that's exactly the price that it needs to be, unless obviously there's something unforeseen that you come across. Um, but it's just something that I can generate every time. And it makes the quoting process easy as well. So if I go into a room and I measure up, all I need to do is put the measurements into this spreadsheet, and then it's this is how many coats of paint the ceiling will need, this is how many coats the woodwork will need, this is how much material I need. There's my price, and it does make it easy. But like you say, that's based on everything being finished by hand. Once I go in there with a sprayer, the prices doesn't change, but my time frame
Yes.
in there reduces. So it's not that you can make more money by spraying. You can't.
Yeah.
Where you make the money is how much less time you're actually taking to do something.
Yeah. I mean, I come across these guys years ago. So they miscoated a whole house, right?
Yeah,
Took, I can't remember how long, a day, 2 days, whatever it was to do it. Mm, And they charged just for those couple of
insane,
days.
isn't it?
And I was like, I was gobsmacked. I was like, why on earth would you pay for all that, that equipment, your skills? What would it take you, like you've just said, by brush and roller? And that's what your price
Well,
is,
that's
but
it
you've done it,
exactly. And
five
some people
times as
might
quick or
say,
whatever.
well, that's a bit
That's what,
rude to the customer, isn't it? But the customer still gets a benefit because they, one, get you out their house quicker, and two, they get a superior finish. So there's got to be a kind of
yeah,
give and take with it. Like you said, there's no point investing in training, investing in equipment to do the job, investing your time in kind of learning what materials work best for what you want to do, to then just kind of rip it all off at the back end.
yeah, does make sense.
So I
Where
did
did you
my
learn to
training
spray,
with
Martin?
Paint Um, I did the HVLP course and I did the ALS course. And like I say, coming out of college, that was one area where there was a massive lack of kind of training and understanding. It was very basic what they went through. And I thought, right, I know that this is something I want to learn more about. And it was mainly actually for spraying kitchens. And it was fantastic. It was Pete Wilkinson that took the courses, and he did just make kind of the learning so easy. Because I think it can be quite daunting when you start to look into spraying. And they did make it really easy. But on the flip side of that, I think the courses like that, they give you a fantastic base, but there's no way you can learn everything you need to know in a 2 day course. It'll give you enough to get out there, start working and start doing it. But there's so much different stuff once you're out there, like different machines, different products, different methods. I think and this is where kind of my curiosity
Yeah.
tends to take over a bit, and I'm extremely guilty of playing far too much. It's like if somebody turns around to me and says, "Oh, you can't do that," why not? Don't tell us I can't, because I will go and try.
Yeah. So, I'm not a sprayer.
Yeah,
You run Spray Wizards, our group, which we set up
you
last
need to
year,
get some
knowing
training,
damn well
Gary.
I haven't got a bloody clue about spraying. I've seen
Mm.
I've seen one of your machines. Um Explain to me about it. So it's like it looks amazing. It looks like there's no overspray. It looks incredible.
Yeah,
Explain a
well,
bit to like
it's
someone as
it's
dumb as
funny
me
actually, because I was
what it
speaking to
is and
somebody about this
how
the
it
other day,
benefits
and
you.
that machine's an interesting one. And it still baffles me. I don't quite understand it. So one of the things you get taught when you're spraying is HVLP systems. Basically, the way they work, it's a series of turbos that generate air through them, and then that goes through your gun and sprays. It's just kind of like your old conventional compressor systems, but more compact, and you get that less overspray. But you always get told you need a 5 stage system. Anything less, it just doesn't really do the job. And this little thing it's from a company called Technova, and it's the guys at Sprayform that provide them in the UK. it baffles me every day. It's just a little three-stage machine, but I've used it for spraying out rooms with emulsion. I'm thinking it shouldn't be able to do that. The interesting thing is, obviously, a lot of the spray world
Mm,
is it's Graco, it's Q-Tech, it's Wagner. It's like it's always the same names. It's like that's all people know. And the guy from Sprayform, only reason I found out about them was I was down London last year for the Paint and Decorating Association Trophy Awards, and everyone was having a bit of a catch up at the pub afterwards, as us decorators like to do. And I got chatting to him. He was saying about this machine he used,
look,
and he was showing us the videos. And I was the same as you. I couldn't believe it. I mean, there's no overspray. And obviously, I'd used the conventional system in Solberg, and I kept setting my fire alarms off. Like when you walked out of a room, it was like walking through a mist, like stars in their eyes.
mm,
So I thought, yeah, why not? Why not take a punt on it? And it's a crazy bit of kit. I mean, I remember, like you say, somebody said to me, "Oh, you can't spray gloss because I had a gloss finish to do. You can't spray gloss through a three-stage system. Why not? Let's try. Let's just do it. Let's see what we can get away with." And it's like it's spraying.
yeah,
It was sprayed in Benjamin Moore. Which one was it? Aura, eggshell Aura. It was spraying that neat. It's a three-stage system. It shouldn't have the power to do that. Don't get me wrong. Yes, it wasn't the perfect finish, but it would never be through any system because you shouldn't be spraying it neat. It always needs that bit of dilution. Although let's see if it can do it. But yeah, that little box
yeah,
is fantastic. And then
yeah.
off the back of that, I was running the Tritech T7, which lovely sprayer, and that's when I did my training. That's what I wanted. I wanted a Tritech machine. Um, and then, funnily enough, the guy from so I was on this job in
Mm,
Northumberland earlier in the year. It's like a two properties, kind of a two-stage job. So he came out after I bought the Airbus to come and do some market material for himself, and he bought his airless sprayer, which is the Technova Testarossa. The guy from
who,
Sprayform.
who,
So he's
who
who
was that?
that's the guy who sells this Technova stuff in the UK. So yeah, he fetched that out and said, "Oh,
Yeah,
I've bought this on site, and
yeah.
it was an empty property. It's all fresh plasters." I thought you can have a bit of a play while you're here, and then we set it up again. We're running Benjamin Moore Regal through it, and normally I'd be spraying it about maybe it's about 1500 to 1700 psi. He set it up 500 psi, and it was like spraying silk. Couldn't believe it. All right, why not? And actually, so I replaced my T7
Yeah.
for that. But the beauty is that then means that John, who I do a lot of work with, he's got the T7 off me now, and I've been able to give him a bit of training with that, and he's away spraying as well. So I think a lot of it is confidence and knowing the machinery and what the capabilities are of what you can do. But that's why it's good to be able to just get out there and play with it and see exactly what you can do.
Yeah. So we'll give
Yeah, yeah,
Sprayform a shout out. We'll do some links for them. Because I know them as well. So sounds amazing, and
yeah.
probably
Well,
maybe
that's it. I
a
mean,
lot of people are
before he
not
showed
aware
us,
of it.
I'd
So
never
it'd be
heard of
good.
this Technova, but
It's
honestly,
good
it's
to,
it's mind-boggling machines, absolutely mind-boggling.
yeah. So before you got into, doing this amazing property, um, how was your kind of typical week looking? I mean, it seems to me we spoke before we come on that you've got a job through an interior designer, and um, it seems to be. I've spoken to another guest that very similar, gone down the same route, and it's like another level of properties, and um, you're not just sort of house bashing, and you can command more money, but has it changed for you
Yeah,
quite a
I
lot
mean,
in
to be
this
honest,
past
it's
sort of
within
year
the
or
last
so
six
in
months. I
terms of
mean,
the
obviously, I've
direction
had
you're going?
conversations with John when we've been doing Solberg Hall and saying this is the direction we want to go in. I mean, before that, it was pretty much all residential, and it's good, and I like with the residential, you're getting to meet different people and you get different conversations and stuff. But quite like those jobs that you can really get stuck into, get your teeth into, and that once you're there with your gear, you're not. unpacking it on a Monday, and then having to pack up again on a Thursday to get everything off site onto the next job. So yeah, these big jobs are a
Yeah,
lot. They're a lot more interesting for kind of seeing something through begin to end, because it tends to be as well. It's not just a room here and there that you're doing. There's a lot more to it. Yeah, this work for the interior design has been really good. And the thing is, you've got to bear in mind is if somebody's paying the money for an interior designer to come in and obviously redesign their home, then they're going to have that financial capacity where they don't want to paint it themselves. I mean, why would you pay for an interior designer and then pick up a paintbrush on a weekend when you've got a
absolutely.
spare couple of hours? It'll take you
Yeah,
forever to
yeah,
finish it. Um, but again, with that, obviously, you've got to know that you can
yeah,
provide
yeah,
that level of detail and level of finish, because at the end of the day, it's got to get signed off. And again, that's where the spraying comes in handy, to
yeah,
be able to kind of
yeah,
quickly clear through it and get that finished off. So yeah, I think realistically, it's only the last 6 months that we've been doing this stuff for the interior designer. I'd been doing the work for the building company that's been doing all this building work previously, not in the sense of working directly for them, but they do a lot of property renovations, and they've always got to the end of a property renovation job. They've got all the trades bar decorators. So I'd got in touch with them about it, and basically they would just give my details to their clients at the end, because they'd always get asked, "Can you recommend a decorator?" And they didn't have anyone that they would be happy to recommend. So it's kind of built
yeah,
up from there. It's building up relationships, isn't it? It's like
yeah.
nothing comes easily. You've got to get
It is.
people to recognize you and have confidence in
No,
what you can do and what you can provide before they'll happily recommend someone. I mean, I'm the same. If somebody says to me, "Do you know a joiner or do you know a plumber?" I wouldn't give out. Yes, I might know some, but I wouldn't give out details to anyone other than who I trust to be able to provide an amazing service.
yeah. Again, like conversations I've had. I sort of specialised, I guess, in hand painted kitchens, and as you know, they take bloody forever. And that was like the request of this company, and so last number of years earned a lot better money than just kind of doing a bedroom, which
Yeah,
takes a couple of days, and then you're packing up, going on to the next one. It's so difficult to earn well. And that, I say to most decorators now, if you can just try and niche and specialize in a particular area, you're always going to get asked to do other stuff. But it makes sense to look at your jobs over the past number of years, work out which ones you've earned the most money on, um, or if you haven't earned much money, what skills you've got to obtain to earn better money. And that's exactly what you've done. But you've done it in a really short space of time,
yeah, but and again,
um,
it harks back to what we
which
were
is
saying earlier.
amazing.
It comes
And
down to skill and
credit
opportunity.
to you.
And it just so happened that I already had the skill, and it's the opportunity
Yes.
that's presented themselves where having those skills is meant that it's developed into something more. So yeah, I think that's why you've got to keep up with your skills. And if you are going through a point where you think, "Oh, it's a bit quiet at the moment," use that time to your advantage. And I'm not necessarily saying you need to book onto a training course. I mean, as good as they are, there's nothing wrong with approaching somebody out there who does something that you feel like you want to get into and say, "Look, I've got a quiet point. Do you have any jobs spraying kitchens as an argument, for argument's sake, spraying kitchens that I can just tag along on and watch what you do and see how you do it?" Because yeah, there's plenty of us.
Yeah. But like you say as well, it's grabbing opportunities, isn't it, as well? Because when my paint shop in Berkhamsted, where I used to go, like next door, there was a designer kitchen shop. So I just got chatting to them and said, "Look, who does your decorating after?" And they said, "Oh, the guy we use actually retiring." Now these kitchens are expensive, and every property I went in were high-end properties, so they would, pre-finished kitchens. But I knew I was going into good properties where they had money and would pay a good rate. So you can get opportunities and you can connect with trades, connect with kitchen manufacturers, all sorts, to sort of, make opportunities. So it's just like you say, it's just
Well,
going
that's
out
it,
of
and
your
it's
comfort
having
zone
the upsell
sometimes and
potential
just
as well.
putting
I mean,
yourself out
I've
there.
lost track the amount of times I've gone into quote somebody's asked for repainting of a kitchen, and they might happen to mention something about changing the cabinets, and it gets that conversation from like, well, why are you changing your cabinets? Is it because you're changing the layout? In which case, there's probably no point me coming in and
Mm,
decorating until you've done that. But on the flip side, if it's just because you want a change and it's a refresh, well, fantastic. Well, did you know I
mm,
also spray kitchens? This is how much on average it would cost in comparison to completely changing it. So it's having that potential where you can turn what would be a low earning job into all of a sudden you've got it into a four-figure job, from painting a few walls and a ceiling in the kitchen to painting all the cabinets as well. So yeah, it's having that capacity to be able to upsell
definitely.
while you're on site as well, which I think a lot of decorators out there are probably a bit
Yeah.
afraid to do. And it's like you said with going into the kitchen place, it doesn't need to be a hard sell. It doesn't need to be a you need to use me. And there's nothing wrong with just going and having that conversation. Because if you don't, then nothing's going to happen. What's the worst that's going to happen? You have a conversation and still nothing happens. Well, at least you take that opportunity.
Yeah, like, if I was really short of work, one thing I would do straight away, it may not be the best jobs, but I would contact all the plasterers in Hertfordshire and say, look, I'm a top end decorator, I do some good stuff. Do you mind passing my details on if you don't have a decorator?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
because what's the next step after plastering? And it could start something simple like that. Um, I know you
Far
like to
too
experiment and try stuff out, and obviously we've done some work together. What's been your standout products?
much. I had a feeling.
Obviously I know what you're going to say. But this is
Yeah.
like
No, no,
this is
no,
like
of course not,
genuine
of course.
conversation. I'm not paying you for this,
No,
right? Say this or
well,
so. What's
trying to think,
tickled your
have there been any
fancy lately,
paint
Martin?
manufacturers that have No, we know the answer. I mean, obviously, I did some testing on the Mylands products for you, and honestly, fell in love with them. I mean, they're just such a beautiful product to work with. But not just that, the kind of the durability as well. Because again, like I say, it's not just that I like to play about with stuff. I like to test something to its absolute limits. Like if I'm going to use it and recommend it to a customer, I want to know it's really going to stand up. And I think the big one that sold it for me, I mean, don't get me wrong, I wasn't using poor quality products before, um, but this hotel, sorry, this wedding venue even, Solberg Hall, they'd been using a particular brand of product prior to me coming in, and they'd been using oil-based as well, which really made the job difficult because of drying time. So I tried to push them over towards the water-based, which granted they did, and then obviously Mylands came along. And I did a bit of a test because a lot of what they do there when they are painting walls is painting straight over the line of paper that's been painted previously. So I did a test with the Mylands marble mat, and I thought, right, let's see exactly how hard wearing it is, and just painted a patch of line and paper by hand. Um, Let it dry off, stick another coat on, gave it 24 hours, came back with a screw, and I had a patch of, I'm not going to mention them, the previous manufacturer of paint next to it as well. So I did a test with the top of the screw heads. Yeah, they were both
Yeah,
fine. Flipped it over,
yeah.
used the sharp point of the screw, and the previous brand struggled. And then the Mylan stuff, yeah, it left black marks on it, damp cloth rubbed away. And I thought, if I'm using the head of a screw online and on paint online and paper, and it's holding up, then it's a
Mm.
no-brainer. I feel like I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot using it, to be honest, because it's not going to damage as quickly, which means customers aren't going to get me back into repaint again. It's only if they want to change the color, but it is such a good product to
Well,
use.
if, are you using many other products on it? Obviously,
Yeah.
marble mat. I've tried it. I've tried it here in my sort of garden room, and like the opacity, I've got this
Oh,
sort of dark
it
blue.
just
Was just
everything about it's
insane how well
fantastic.
it
Like you say,
covered
the
in
opacity,
two.
the durability.
Um,
Um, it's just all better. But I've used a lot of the plant-based
yeah,
MSP as well, and some of the metallic products. And there's not one product I've used
Yeah.
that I thought, nah, that's not so good. I've used something better than that. Because it's just,
Yeah. Yeah, I used a plant-based gloss on my kitchen cabinets, which, only took me about 2 years to complete. I done a little patch from Ireland, and then, Lisa was like, "Gary, we've got a two-tone kitchen for the
hey,
last,
if
like, year.
you're doing well, if it was just a
Can you
year,
finish it
Gary,
off?" And
Lisa
I
needs
done
to be
it before
thankful.
Christmas.
I
And,
sprayed my kitchen about 5 years ago, and my wife still
yeah,
refused
yeah,
to
I'm
finish it.
quite proud of it. Yeah, so I done it by hand because I can't spray. But I've got a little dog that kind of, when there's food being
Yeah.
served up, it could be like scratching on the cupboard doors, and as many times I tell it to get down, it never does. But it's tough as nails. It's held up to a dog's claws scratching it on a
It
daily
is. I mean,
basis,
it's quality.
and that's
Yeah,
incredible.
it's an interesting one as
So they
well
are
because I
really
obviously,
good
like you
paints.
said, we've done the work with the spray panel, and that's been fantastic because what it's meant is I've been able to use that product at Solberg and have a play about and a test about with it without it costing me anything because they've been the ones that have been paying for it. But I thought actually I'll take a look at it because I would say I've built up a
Yeah.
decent working relationship with the guys at Mylands. And I thought, well, let's see what my price would be if I was buying that paint in. Because, like I say, as everyone does, I'm sure, I had my brands that I like to use. That's what I use because A, the finish, B, the price, and C, the durability. Um, so yeah, and again, that spreadsheet I was on about before, it's got a massive list of all the products I've used previously and might use. And it calculates it out. So rather than just this is how much it costs for 10 liters, it works it out on a price per liter and then also on a price per square meter, which is the really interesting one. Because obviously every paint has different coverage. So I sat and worked it out, right? If I was to use Mylands in comparison to my usual
Yes.
brands, how much extra would it cost my customer? Because ultimately that's what it's about. It's how are they going to be willing to pay? And I had
Mm.
in my head, it's Mylands, it's
Yes.
a high-end brand. It's not going to be something that I can offer to Joan Smith down the road who wants a bedroom in a bungalow painting. But actually, once I broke it down to a price per square meter, it only worked out something daft like 3 pence per square meter more expensive. And I thought, well, why would I use? Yes, it's a little bit more expensive, and at the end of the day, yes, it's the customer that's paying for it, not me. But if I've got a product that I know I can go in there with, it's got fantastic opacity, it's going to cover really well, that I'm not going to have any issues with, and if I did, I've got a great kind of line back to the manufacturer, because that's the beauty. It's a British-based company. Like if you had an issue with a Tikkurila product, for instance, you probably
Yes.
haven't bought it direct from Tikkurila. So trying to kind of get back to them to get any kind of backline support might be difficult. Whereas obviously a company based in the UK, you know you've got that sponsor. Yeah, why
Yes.
would I use? So actually, I'm going to make the switch across and start using Mylands on all my jobs. Funnily enough, actually, I just submitted a quote last week, and it's the first quote I've submitted using this new format with Mylands. I accepted it straight away, no issue at all. Uh, and it's a customer that's been a recommendation from a plumber that I know, but they're happy waiting for me until March to go in and do the work. So if they're willing to wait that long for me, then obviously the product that I provide is kind of just going to help out with that as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. And like you say, you're well into experimenting with different products. It's when you hit on one, it works. And even like Little Green, when we went, when Ben was talking about paints and coverage in particular, and opacity, and the
Yeah.
ingredients that's in it that makes even Little Green so good. People naturally are like, oh man, it's expensive. I'd rather stick with Armstead or whatever. Um, but it's like, it actually, like you've
No,
just
no, that's it.
confirmed,
Once
it
you look at the
doesn't
coverage.
necessarily work out more expensive.
Yeah. Oh,
So it's
that's.
interesting that
I
you've
think you've
done the
got
actual
to. It's
math
like
on
it's
it.
one thing to try
Yeah.
the product out, but you've got to look at the back line. Like, can I afford to use this? And the thing is as well, like, let's say for argument's sake, I mean, that's not what the case was, but let's say every job I'd been using Cover Plus, and that's what I quoted for, because I'll only ever submit a quote with me providing the paints. Um, yeah, if I'm providing a job with Cover Plus, yes, it might do
Yes,
the job, and it may take an extra quote or an extra two, which is obviously going to cost in time. But when you're talking about you are quoting for a product which has the appearance and kind of that, not stigma's the wrong word, but it's got the reputation of being a high-end brand, then you're only going to start to kind of increase the type of customers that you're doing your work for. It's going to be those customers that are willing to pay
100%.
that little bit more for a better decorator, a better product, a better finish. Um, and yeah, it all kind of snowballs on and presses on from there.
We'd
Yeah.
have to, as you know, they do a lot for films and TV, Mylands. But it was good. We'd have to pop
Well, I
down to
do
see
keep telling Ronnie
Mylands.
that he needs
Hopefully
to.
they invite us down. But they're really, yeah. But it was interesting. They done all the Star Wars stuff and seeing the colours for like
It
R2D2 and
tickles the inner
C3PO
nerd,
and
doesn't
that.
it?
So pretty cool. Um, yeah, exactly. So just a couple more questions because the customer will be wondering where you've got. So just a shout out to any other brands which you love. So that could
Yeah.
be like paintbrushes or sundries
It's a
or
funny one because
just
it
a
tends to
quick
change. I mean,
rundown of what you use
I've
typically.
always loved my old fields brushes, and I still do. But kind of going back to what we were saying about the Mylands, I think one of the things for me, I've always got in my head is, can I go in and pick up this product off a shelf if I need to, rather than having to put in an online order. And don't get us wrong, a lot of places are great for their online deliveries and the likes, um, but I like to know that if I'm kind of caught in a fix, I can go somewhere and pick it up. So yeah, as much as I love the old fields, I've been using a lot more of the Arrowworthies recently, using the classics. They're just a fantastic brush. You can't go wrong with them. Um, Mini roller sleeves, you can never go wrong with two fussy blokes. I mean, every decorator knows that surely. Um, and then yeah, I guess other than that, sundry. Go on.
Yeah, you know what,
Oh,
I've never used them. Too fussy bloke. I know
what
they're
have you been
brilliant.
doing all this time, Gary?
But yeah, I need to give them a
Uh,
go. Just
That's it.
trying lots
That's
of
it.
other stuff and
Well,
not
that's
too
the
fussy
danger,
blokes.
isn't
I
it? It's
must
like
give
you
it a
find
go.
some.
You kind of
Well, that's the danger, isn't it? You find
run out of
something that
jobs,
you
don't
like, and
you?
you're like, right, if it's not broken, don't fix it. I think it's a dangerous position to get in because something better may come along, and you'll
Yeah,
never know about it. Um, yeah. What else? What else? So, I mean, adhesion primer wise,
yeah,
which is another big thing for me for a lot of the work. But I tend to use Tikkurila Ortex Aqua for my adhesion. However, tested that Fleetwood primer, and my God, that is good stuff. Yeah, but again, the only thing
is it? Yeah,
that's kind of holding me back at the moment is just the supply chain. Like I say, if I knew there was a vendor nearby that I could walk into and
yes.
buy it off the shelf, no problem. I'd do it every time. And then for standards, because obviously I do a lot of spraying of MDF um, with the kitchens and bespoke furniture and the likes. Um, Technos, they do a primer called Aquafiller. It's amazing, fantastic stuff. And to be fair, Technos are another one where
Hmm. Is it?
they're an amazing brand, do amazing products that spray straight out the tin. And again, there's not many people really use them. I know about them, but it's another one where it's supply chain. It's can I go in and buy it off the shelf?
I agree.
Um, and it's difficult.
Where do
My
you go,
normal
Martin?
merchant is
Who's your
Decorating
merchant?
Centre Online, DCO. 'Cause the guys there are fantastic. I mean, they're about half an hour down the road from me, and it
Yeah,
tends to be that at some point I'll be passing them. But even if
I
I'm
don't.
not, I mean, their next day delivery's fantastic, and it's not often I've had a problem with them, but when I have, they've sorted it same day. I mean, so much so the obviously it helps that I'm local, but I received a product through for spraying a kitchen. It was completely the wrong color. and they send someone out in the van with it straight away to switch it over and change it so that I can get the job done and cleared. But it's that thing again, can I go and get it off the shelf? So if I had an issue, the last thing we want, especially if you've got such a tight packed diary, the last thing you want is to find that you're stuck not being able to complete a job on the day you're supposed to. So yeah, I think that really does sway my decision a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Matthew.
Oh yeah, this spot on.
Yeah, Matthew there's brilliant, isn't he? It's a family-run business,
Yeah,
and they look after you. Right, Martin. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. I think there's a load of
yeah, I appreciate it.
great information for decorators from what you've said, and it's really encouraging, to know that you were quite late into the game, but where you've come so quickly is incredible. And I think going forward, it just
Hope
seems you're
so.
going
I
to
hope that's
get
where
on
this year
bigger and
goes.
better projects, and I'm really excited to see your. Well, there's plenty up north, there's plenty of manor houses and God knows what else.
Oh yeah,
So I'm sure word will soon spread.
absolute pleasure, Gary.
All right, Martin, appreciate it. All right, you take care. Yeah, bye bye.